Thank you for being here.
How's your day flowing?
It's flowing nice.
Nice.
It's flowing nice. Thank you.
Nice.
Hello guys, and welcome to C5 Academy. My name is Ashley. This is my good friend Gabriel.
Hello.
And we were having some good fun conversations just now, and we thought we would include you guys. So yeah, today's conversation will be about many different amazing topics that just come in the moment. So let's see how it goes, and please join us. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you.
How's it going?
So good, bro.
You well?
So good.
All right.
So when you say us,
What do I mean?
what do you mean? And when you say your voice, referring to whomever may be experiencing this?
Thank you. That's a good question. I would say that who I mean by us is the
Yeah.
collective of individuals that have chosen to explore the unconventional path of making peaceful contact with galactic societies through the C5 method, or the hehe method, which is human-initiated contact. And really what I think I also mean by us is just people that want to make a change in their own lives and want to see a better world for their children and their children's children. And yeah, just really a collective of people that are of the same mindset and have the benefit of humanity at heart and in mind. And what was the other question again?
Voice.
Voice.
Thank you for that.
What do I mean by voice? Thank you. Yeah. Voice. By voice, I really, and sorry, I'm going to get a bit deep, and I'm not going to apologize actually. Sorry for saying sorry. Sorry. But by voice, I mean that we are all unique individuals in our own way and in our own right, and that we each have a different voice, literally, just like you have a unique fingerprint, you have a unique voice. And by voice, I don't only mean the sound that comes out of your voice box, but the actions that you take on a daily basis. You know, they're unique to you, and no one else is doing what you're doing. And so what you do in the world has a ripple effect that is beyond what the mind and the senses can perceive. And so being aware of that is also really good, because you can use that to your advantage, in the sense that when you realize that whatever's coming through your mind, whatever's coming through your heart is unique to you, that means that there is great opportunity there to really be who you were meant to be, or who you are in that way, who you are at your core. And by that I don't mean to discredit a lot of people that are not living to their true self. I understand that it's a very interesting journey that we've chosen to explore and have together. But I think that now we're arriving at a time and an age in our society where, like we were talking early on, you know, we have very complex mathematical equations to understand why motion works or how gravity works. And 150 years ago, that was not relevant. That was like no one would understand these equations. So now that we're growing and we're really looking into the smallest particles in the quantum world to the grander scheme of things and the planets and the universe that exists out there, all of that came and arrived because we each have a unique voice, and we each were courageous enough to express it, regardless of what society said, like Galileo or other people that made amazing discoveries which are now celebrated, but back then were not celebrated because they were going against the grain or the status quo, so to speak. So yeah, I really believe that we each have a unique voice, just like your voice is beautiful. This guy's an awesome rapper, by the way. Check him out, called The Hobbyist. He's awesome. But yeah, that's what I mean by voice.
So I was thinking about Galileo. So Galileo made one of the first, if not the first, telescopes
Yeah.
to look far, like playing with glass. And a lot of people were playing with glass, and one of the properties of glass is magnification. So we started zooming in. So like the quantum particles, like really closely zoomed in, playing with glass,
Yeah.
playing with light,
Yeah.
looking, and then the mathematical formulas looking beyond without having to see it.
Yeah.
Like we can predict it, and
Yeah.
we can also go back in the past
Yeah.
and say
That's what we have.
predictable.
Yeah.
Right? To a certain point. Not really, yeah, to a certain point. Probabilistic on the quantum field, but
Yeah.
we can get there. Zooming out to the galaxies, playing with glass, looking at telescopes, and now we're way beyond that. Now we're doing the things that we can't see.
Yeah.
Radio waves
Yeah. So true. Wi-Fi.
coming through us, Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and beyond what we see in the sky,
yeah.
beyond our senses. So the voice,
Yeah.
right? The voice, voice
What would you say the voice is?
It's the voice. It's a TV show.
Is it?
Keep seeing a competition.
Nice.
The voice. Like when we think about it, it's like describe something that's both like abstract and not so abstract. Like got to do with sound. And sound has got to do with receptors, senses,
yes,
back to the person. So voice has got to do with like a physical or entity. Let's just say an entity, a machine, right? A piece of, if beyond that, but like a fully functioning piece of life. We got things going in us right now, like we're cruising. Our bodies
so true.
doing stuff.
We're
like,
growing hair, we're not even seeing
amazing,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
Exceptional things. The voice seems to come out of that. Like one thing about voice is projected.
Yeah.
It's always moving forward. So when I speak about the voice, like I see it as like a sound manifestation of your collective as an individual experience in one way. So basically that's just I guess a way of saying like speaking from yourself, from yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
But on a deeper level, like it is like that fingerprint, like you mentioned. It is got to do with things that are very unique to you. The sound of your voice can be down to genetics. The tone of your voice or the accent of your voice can be down to your culture, but your ideas are expressed uniquely, whether they are your ideas or not. That's an interesting point.
What do you,
so are we truly our own voices, or how much of it is actually someone else's voice coming through?
That's true. So then
everything we've mentioned, sorry to interrupt you.
I'm interrupting.
Gravity,
Sorry.
equations, all of that, Galileo, it's all from someone else's voice, and we've accepted that authority to be true.
Yeah.
But I've never looked through like a deep microscope. I've seen pictures, and I tend to accept them and believe them, and they work.
Yeah.
So then again, down to how much voice. Yeah. Anyway, that's what it is.
No, thank you. That was really powerful and beautiful. And that brings me to the question of what would be your definition of expression? Expression, and the idea of communication through voice and language as being one form of expression amongst many. And the possibility that maybe we don't know this yet, but we're coming to understand that voice and language and speech in that way, as advanced as we think it may be compared to other species on the planet, is actually quite limiting. In a sense that doesn't your body speak to itself through different means and mechanisms? And the idea of emotion, I really like the idea of emotion as a method of language, because, and especially if we're talking about extraterrestrial societies and advanced cultures that have developed their own consciousness to a certain extent, I definitely believe that there is what we would call telepathic communications, which is a universal language based on feeling and emotions, which is a very interesting concept. What would you think about that?
I was quite interested in that. Like, our body does communicate, and like one of the ways we know it communicates physically is like with the lymphatic system and with the neural system. That's how our foot can tell our brain that there's something hot here, we must move it, it's connected. That's how your body can tell another part to secrete different things, and we know that there is some part of emotion that's got to do with the physical part, the chemistry. So you can deplete yourself of certain enzymes and hormones and such, and you will feel a certain way within your body.
Yeah.
You know, if you skip sleep for quite a long time and you're not very there, like you'll start to feel certain things, and your emotions can often be exacerbated by that. Not to say you can't be in control of it, definitely you can at a certain level. So in that regard, I also see emotions as the one thing about it, it's one of the most beautiful expressions and the truest. Like your body is very wise. Listen to your body. So I think there's something way more to emotions than just the chemical reactions are fundamental. Like there's certain intention behind emotions, and that's what excites me. So this another form of communication, we feel it often.
Yeah.
With our spouses or our partners, we have a strong sense, and just repetitive examples of being connected through love, through empathy.
Through love. Yeah, love.
Absolutely. So when we talk about mind, telepathy, we like connecting with the mind. So it's my language center.
Yeah.
So, and this I think is maybe one of the ways in which I relate to engagement with beings other than myself, humans, beautiful dogs, star beings, everyone from around the cosmos. We're finding a lot of examples, birds, of that type of connection that doesn't seem to be one-sided.
I like that you said that one-sided, because a lot of the contacts and communications that if we research contact with advanced societies, for example, there's an awesome human being called Enrique Villanueva, if you guys want to research him. It's really beautiful. He has an interview with Paola Harris, who's a very famous UFO researcher and journalist that we really, really appreciate a lot. And the interview really goes into his experience of making physical contact with an advanced being from another society. And his description of the event, if you Google it and research, we will find that he describes arriving close to this entity through the experiments and experiences that he's had in the story that you will hear if you do the research. And that as soon as he came into a certain area and perimeter of that being resonated and projected so much love that it was, to him, I think he describes, really powerful, and that the love that was emanating translated to him in his own language as little brother, hello little brother. And that really makes a lot of sense, because I listen to a lot of channels as well. I really appreciate that side of reality, and a lot of the channels that claim to be extraterrestrial in nature claim that their society really purely functions on telepathy, because their entire society is madly, deeply in love with one another. There is obviously no war or no such thing as fear. It really is an advanced level of reality, not to say it's better or worse. I mean, it's all equal, but the game they're playing is that there is sincerely just unconditional love everywhere, and that they act as a huge giant family. I think there's 230 million of them, let's say. They all love one another, and even they describe saying that when they consume a child, and first of all, they obviously don't consume a child in the same way we do, but when they have a child or a new being is born, that it's not really in the sense that that being will stay with one member of a family, but that being, even from a very young age, will just roam everywhere, and everyone he interacts with is a member of his family, and they're always trusted, and they're always in link with one another. They always know everything that's always going on and everywhere. And I thought that was very, very interesting. And again, I'm sure this story can corroborate to many, many other stories if we do some serious researching into actual real extraterrestrial contact with human beings, that there seems to be another level of communication which is beyond language.
And this is coming up repetitively and independently around the world, and has been this experience of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Is this like a pattern that has emerged?
Yeah.
No, it's a question.
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. What were you asking?
Sorry. The pattern of
unconditional love.
Unconditional love of that experience.
Yeah.
Is that, are people experiencing that around the world?
Definitely. I mean, are you in love?
I am. I mean, very much so. I refer more specifically. Mind if I smell the rollie?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. But you refer to love and the fact that everyone around the world is in love. There definitely is the experience of couples when they are in love or madly in love. They know what each other's gonna say or finish each other's sentences or know what each other feels just by looking at the person. You know, there's no communication. I've definitely experienced that. Even with our animals, there's definitely such a thing as animal communication. There's actually a great documentary on YouTube. Have a look at it. It's called Diablo, the spirit leopard or something like that. It's beautiful. But there's definitely
by distance.
Yes, absolutely. So
that for me is the surprising one.
Yeah, so by distance, then you look at the idea, if you want to go to the micro level of the experiment that was done, which is called that experiment where two atoms, whether they're very close or very far, immediately as one is shifted, the other one immediately follows. I think it's called quantum entanglement. Yeah, so that's what we also do in the C5 initiative, is something called non-local C5s, which means that if, for example, it's morning now, and someone is in the UK or in Japan and has put a request to collectively add an energy to a specific area where contact is to be had, wherever you are in the world, you can literally consciously put in your energy in your own beautiful, unique way, and that definitely has a ripple effect, just like the Wi-Fi signals or the nuclear waves that you can't see. It is connected.
So let's call it the mind wave.
The mind wave. So there's an experiment.
Yeah.
There's an experiment. You know the 100 monkey experiment, which shows that species are collectively linked through a field, a collective consciousness field that is obviously not seen, but is definitely experienced. And it's the idea of chimps that were on different little islands in a certain part of the world, and experimental scientists did some experiments to test how the chimps would react to certain exercises. And there was one exercise where they dropped a potato in the sand, and all the monkeys would just take the potato and eat it directly with the sand on it. And at one stage on one island, one female, I think, discovered that she could take the potato and put it in the sea around, wash it, and then eat it. On that island, all the monkeys started doing that. But also on all the other islands that were not connected by land, which the monkeys could not have gotten to, they also at a similar period in time started doing that too. Which also then corroborates with other ideas where scientists or people, when they come up with new ideas, or entrepreneurs, someone around the world is going to have that idea at the same time as well and do something similar independently from one another.
The chronology of human thought that has happened with two people, even with, especially with scientific discoveries, quite close to one another in time, but separated by communication, and still coming to the same conclusion. As well as metaphysically and philosophically.
So if you don't mind, that comes to the idea of collective consciousness. And is there such a thing as collective consciousness? I would say there definitely is, and that's how we do the non-local CE5s, through collective consciousness. And
how do you tap into collective consciousness? Like
you always tap into. You can't. Well, right now we're tapping into it in the sense, and I'm going to speak on it at a very real level. We're tapping into it right now because we're absolutely guaranteed of the fact that gravity exists. That to me is a collective construct. We're absolutely guaranteed that we are on a ball that is turning around a giant fireball. Even we've never seen it. We feel the experience of gravity, and that to me is our direct connection, obviously, with our collective consciousness. And that's why you don't find people that just start flying away, or things that are completely out of our scheme of agreement of the game. If this was a game, we have certain rules that we agreed as souls to come and play through. And obviously an individual can definitely have power over the collective, over his own experience of the collective idea. But if it's not agreed, I think, on a certain amount through the collective, meaning if only 20% of the collective agrees on that, there's little chance that it will manifest. Although there are obviously talks of needing there to be very small amount of positively inclined people compared to a large amount of negatively inclined people to overturn things or to switch things. Like you were saying early on, a group of 11 people can change the world, and people, you know, like Martin Luther King, or many people that just went at it alone and changed the world. And
in today's day and age, it's promising that like technology has the potential to allow us to happen very quickly.
Absolutely,
get the message out. Ideas cropping up independently, being shared, collective consciousness. So a collective field is definitely one facet, and that's one facet. Let's say it is like it exists, and it's one way that information can be communicated. There are other ways,
and that's just the collective field of the Earth. But we also part of a collective consciousness that is our solar system, and then that is our galaxy, and then that is our known universe and beyond. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that.
So I've been quite interested in like ideas. A lot of what we speak about, we often pick up on, and what we share. So many times we're like, oh man, I read this, I heard this, I tried this. And these are experiences that have come from other people. So what I want to hear, rather, or what I'd love to chat about, is your current, right now, experience of, guess that.
So my current, right now experience, in the context that I think you mean it, is one of peace, sincerely. Just really one of being really at peace with where I'm at in life, on all levels of life. And that has come through the idea of other people's voices, so to speak, that I have voiced inside of me. But more than that, it's because I think that I practically worked on that voice, whatever that message or information was, in an educational way. Yeah, I definitely practice certain key tools, and I think that, not to say that, you know, whatever, but everyone can achieve that. Everyone can achieve the peace, and that I've come to understand and become quite passionate, actually, of human behavioral understandings and why we do what we do, and just really how we, one as a person, can take control of its own journey and destiny, as opposed to being randomly thinking that you're at the mercy of life. But life is actually happening through you, so right now that's what I'm feeling.
And it must be contagious, because I feel that too.
Beautiful.
The interesting thing, so I heard a funny story, or just an analogy. Life is like a toilet roll. It just seems to go faster at the end. And in a way,
that's true.
It probably is mathematically.
Because at the beginning it seems forever.
Full slide doesn't take it down a notch.
And obviously add your voice in the comments below. And if this video resonates with you, please feel free to subscribe, as we have other videos I'm sure that would also resonate with you, and videos in the future that we'll be creating with you in partnership too. Thank you.
Blessings.
Cool.